Good evening, everybody. It is 10:15. Punch in and welcome to episode 3 of NXT Night Shift. I am 1/3 of the Indie Wrestling Guide podcast, and tonight I am live from the set of the Arsenio Hall show. Jay Gold, and with me, and totally not AI, the Vito Genovese to my Frank Costello, the Tommy DeVito to my Henry Hill, the Clemenza to my Sonny Corleone, the Nikki Santoro to my Ace Rothstein, the host of the On the Mark podcast. It's Mr. OTM. It's Kyle. What's up?
Yo, what's going on, Jay Gold? Episode 3 of the NXT Night Shift in the house. Interesting episode, to say the least.
Yeah, I have a little more for you. I had spent an hour this week with the Port Youth Activities Rule Committee. Last night, as I am the new head coach of the Port Youth Activities 4th grade girls flag football team, apparently, as the face of NXT Night Shift, it's not permitted special treatment, and I'm not allowed to be given an extra down per possession. You haven't lived until you sat through 30 minutes of viola practice, by the way, right before I got on here and right after a long day of work. My wife is in Vegas, so me and the kid are floundering, eating crumbs out of the couch, and wearing the same clothes for the last 3 days. At least my mother-in-law was here. She's been cooking and leaving a mess, as she believes we are living like Mad Max, eating what we kill in the backyard. Anyway, main event moves, people, as Little Kim, featuring Missy Elliott, Debrat, Left Eye, and Angie Martinez say, it's ladies' night. The NXT Women double champ starting and ending tonight's show. And as we say, let's change the channel from UPN 9 and Steam Pipe Alley reruns. Tune into the WB New York, and gentlemen, start your engines and fire up the projection TV from the starting line of the Indy 500. We are on the road to WrestleMania 41 in a 1988 convertible Mercedes S-Class. My father-in-law bartered for 4 custom suits with shirt and tie included. We're stopping at the Max, Monk's Cafe, Mel's Diner, the Peach Pit, and Bluth's Frozen Banana Stand along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Road Trip. It is the NXT Night Shift. Kyle, sorry to cut you off. Had to get in the monologue, as we know.
Dude, you ain't cutting me off. I'll let you go on forever because half the words that come out of your mouth, I don't even understand the reference because there is a little bit of a gap between us. Not just age, but geography as well. You're on the East Coast, I'm in the Midwest, and I stay in my lane right here in the Midwest.
I like to educate you, Kyle. I like to make sure that you know what's going on during the show, during what we're doing. I like you to be up to date on pop culture from 20 years ago. So,
I was going to say, I don't know how much from 20 years ago I really need to know, but for this show, I might need to know a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I like to keep you on your toes. So we had a great week. We had a lot of fun interactions. People were excited to hear Stan back on the show. People were excited to see that we have a way to call in and give your opinion. So I'm hoping that tonight we have some more folks logging in. Come on the show, log in, and let us know you want to get on. You get right on. We'll talk about NXT tonight. We'll talk about anything you want. And as we said, Kyle, what a show tonight. It was the double champ going at it tonight. Starting up a little early with that world title match. But yeah, I'd like your opinion just as we start. What did you think of that first start of the title match?
So it was interesting. We talked a little bit before we went live on how the NXT card was structured because typically you would want to put your world title in the main event, or some would assume you put the world title in the main event, but no, that's not how they started things off. And it got me thinking, well, if Jada Parker and Stephanie are starting things off, Fallon Henley might get that title back later because, they could just say the story. Stephanie wasn't 100%. She had a match. We saw her get beat down, but the match with Jada Parker itself, we're going to start there at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. Something felt a little off to me. I don't know if the chemistry was just not there quite yet, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling the opener, not taking anything away from each woman because they're both individually talented, but yeah, Jay Gold, it wasn't for me. How did you feel about the opener?
I 100% agree with you. I thought there was something a little wrong with the chemistry. It was short. It was used almost as a vehicle to get her next beatdown over, as opposed to Jada really been taken seriously. It just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough with what I wanted. And if you're going to show the world title first, it better be a good match because the world title should be more important than that North American title, which ended up going on last. So not my favorite.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it last week too. It's like they kind of were put in a tough spot knowing that Julia was injured because they had to put the title on someone. But I thought it would have been probably just as fine to give the title right back to Fallon Henley, and then you could build up a credible challenger for Fallon at Stand and Deliver because you saw all the women on tonight's show. We even saw them backstage. There are plenty of women that could step up and take that title.
And I agree. And I have here not a great match. I understand the 2 times in one night, but you can't use the world title as the vehicle to get over the North American title, even with Jordynne Grace getting in the way of Jada Parker at the end there. I just thought if you want to further some kind of plot, do that elsewhere. Don't do that in a world title match.
100%. And Jada Parker, to me, still has some work to do. But obviously, we know she has a presence. Everybody, when her music hits, Miss Parker, people want to get involved and get interactive with her. She's got it, just not yet. And I think this match kind of exposed her a little bit. Not a bad thing, but hey, they can't all be bangers, right?
And it is a developmental, as we say. And speaking of developmental,
oh no,
we do have a call.
Should we bring him in?
Go right ahead. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but
I think we got Stan from Burlington back on the call. Stan.
Hi, Stan.
Hi, it's me, Stan from Burlington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember me.
I do.
So, I see Jay Gold's blackmail of all the guys of the Main Event Network continues for at least another week, huh?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Did you guys watch the show last week?
From that we did here?
Yeah. Every time Jay Gold speaks, Kyle looks like some unsuspecting dude that wandered into Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
I do live in an apartment, Stan, so that might be true.
If Jay Gold spent half as much time working on his broadcasting chops as he does digging up dirt on all the guys of the Main Event Network, this show might be a lot more watchable.
I think the show has come a long way in 3 weeks, Stan.
You're really burning the candle at both ends, huh, Jay Gold?
Yeah.
Are you going to make sure you have some time this week to chat with Charlie Butters about his favorite limited edition potato chips on the Indie Wrestling Guide?
That's a segment I would actually tune into.
Yes, Stan.
Oh, hi, Kyle. It's me.
Hi, Stan.
Stan from Burlington.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember me.
I don't.
Hey, Jay Gold.
Yeah.
I see you have the Arsenio Hall show behind you. That was a really good show. Got great ratings.
Yes.
This show is more like the Magic Johnson Magic Hour. Kyle, for you, that show lasted 5 days.
Yeah.
Hey, is Mr. Cincinnati there?
No, not here.
Not tonight.
I
I'll
like
get
him.
him for next time. Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah.
I like Cincinnati.
Yep.
Hey, Jay Gold.
Yep.
Despite your doomed sinner lifestyle, you might be interested in knowing that Cincinnati is home to a very prominent Jewish shul, the Isaac M. Wise Temple. The Wise Temple is styled after the Alhambra Mosque in Granada. This is really funny, though, because without Mr. Cincinnati, there aren't too many wise things coming from this show tonight.
All right.
Hey, I see Stephanie Vaquer was the focus of NXT tonight.
Yep.
Yes.
Quite a compelling storyline. She had to fight twice, defend 2 things in one night. You know what's funny? And I hate innuendo. But when I saw that, I said, if there are 2 guys less likely to be able to pull off something twice in one night, it's you. Okay, gotta go. Bye.
I can't. Who gives him our number? Why is he able to call in?
He finds his way to everything. He literally finds his way to everything.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to take in right there, guys. And obviously, if you want to call in, you don't have to be like Stan, but you can by just leaving us your email in the comment section, and we can shoot the shit.
Maybe it could be a little nicer than Stan, who calls in and hurts my feelings. But Great Brown Hope, yes, the Busy Bone on Arsenio Hall was a good episode. Yes, it was.
I'm going to show my age, and I know Great Brown Hope has talked about him before. I have no idea who Busy Bone is.
Great Brown Hope, I want you to do something for me as far as the Arsenio Hall show goes. Check out, if you can, I saw it on TikTok, and I'll send it to you. It is the last episode he ever did. The entire hip-hop community came out and freestyled like a 20-minute rap. Everyone popular from the 90s, like like Wu-Tang and Queen Latifah and Mobb Deep and all Goody Mob and Nas and all these dudes came out and they did a amazing freestyle for Arsenio to say goodbye because he introduced so many people to hip hop and to that culture.
Right.
So if you want to check it out, I'll put it up on the Twitter because it is a very cool moment in history to watch that last scene. Even for anybody who just likes 90s hip hop, it's fantastic.
I was going to say, so essentially it's We Are the World, but rap edition for Arsenio Hall.
And they did it, and they did it only for him. So remember, that just shows you
for the culture.
How important he was. So let's get back at it. We go from Stan giving us trouble in Burlington to the locker room with Trouble, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams arguing even more as far as that's going to be furthered. That feud, I like it. I like what they're putting together there. If there are two guys who belong together, those two guys are really making compelling television.
They are, and the Javon Evans character is starting to develop a little bit more. Like it's a deep dive into him. We're starting to understand what really makes him tick. Because when he first came into NXT, he was just this young, high flyer, fun to watch in ring. And I didn't really even know anything about Javon Evans because this is a dude that had a lot of clout on the indie scene before he came in. A lot of hype behind him. So you can have all the moves in the world, trust me. But that's not going to interest me. I am the type of fan that needs to be invested into some kind of character, and it's finally starting to come all together for Javon Evans to where he is now up there with the Obafemis, with the Trick Williams in NXT.
Yep, he is a main event player, as we like to say here. He is definitely somebody who is going to get one of those titles, and I am very happy about it. I think if anybody is going to move forward in their career there, it has to be Javon Evans.
You didn't want to see him win the Heritage Cup? That wasn't the first title that he needed to win?
No, I did, actually. I did think he was going to win tonight.
Really?
I don't understand the value of Lexis King yet, but we'll bring that up in a second. As they went to the women's locker room for more stuff, so to speak. I thought this episode was a little bit everywhere. There was lot of what remember, did you see the Deadpool and Wolverine?
I did not know.
So there's a scene in the beginning where Deadpool ends up waking up at the TVA, where, the Time Variance Authority, and the guy goes off and tells him basically everything, and Deadpool just looks at him and goes, wow, that was a shit ton of exposition for a trilogy. I thought there was just a shit ton of exposition in this. They're like spelling every feud seemed to have to get pushed onto this show tonight, whether it be through locker room vignettes, whether it be through videos. Everybody was on this show. So they go in the locker room. You also find out about the tag titles with TNA, number one contenders match. Everyone was worried about Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. There they are. We worried about the Metaphor girls. There they are. So everybody's pushed in there, and then they push us right into a Ricky Saints interview.
Yeah, it's just cramming so much into so little time. And I get it. Like NXT, at least the roster they currently have, there is a lot of new faces. So you do want to introduce those new faces to the casuals that aren't like us that are tuning in every week. But if you're shoving so much down people's throats, something's going to be forgotten. Like, I don't even know who so-and-so's name is in that tag team, Tyreek and...
I have that. Yeah.
Tyson, I think it is. Yeah, okay, so I did get it. But I did see them on Evolve, which I don't know. Have you been watching Evolve at all?
I watched for Big Sam, so I like to see Big Sam the hard way do his thing on that show. But yeah,
they
I've
lost
been
to them,
it.
those guys.
Yes. Yeah, they got So Big Sam is my dude, and I have been in contact with the big fella, so I'm hoping he will join us for a night shift one night.
Ooh, get Sam on the night shift. We might have to evolve the show, some would say.
Oh my God, I hate that so much.
Yeah, I got dad jokes for days, and I ain't a dad, brother. You got the monologues, I'll bring the dad jokes. Let's have a good time.
I like it. So I am, and then after that, by the way, we wanted to go from the women's locker room to the men's locker room again.
Yeah, why not?
Wes Lee is watching with Tyreek and Tyson. They're watching the interview with Ricky Saints after the culling interferes, and then we get Wesley turning around and like, what was he? Was Ethan Page yelling at somebody? Then Andre Chase gets up. Oh, Ethan Page is yelling at Brogan
Finley. Yeah, and God, I forgot the other guy's name. But
yeah, that's the problem with NXT. There's way too much going on there, and they start yelling at each other. And Andre Chase gets up, and he's going to have a match with Ethan Page later. And anytime I see Andre Chase on NXT, anytime I see Ethan Page on NXT is a good week for me. So good for them. And that brings us, and then they rifle you through the NXT universe to Hank and Tank.
Honk, honk, let's go, Jay Gold.
I can't with those two idiots. And then they go right to them, and
they're growing on me.
They get the Motor City Machine Gun rub. Like, what just happened?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose of having Motor City Machine Guns backstage was. I mean, at least get them involved in the ring, maybe. I don't know, but I tweeted this out, and you're not seeing it quite yet, but I think I'm starting to get Hank and Tank. I think they are starting to develop finally. That tag division needs something because it's just Fraxium and no one else. At least they're giving Hank and Tank personality. At least they're, rubbing shoulders with people on the main roster like Motor City Machine Guns. Because obviously HBK seeing something. Because I don't know if you saw before NXT.
Yeah,
he did a video with them. Yeah, so I think there's something there. I just think it just hasn't got to you quite yet.
I am begging somebody to help me understand it. Motor City Machine Guns, hey, we're small, we're high flyers, we've been in the business. Let's get the two big fellas who don't offer anything to me to come over and get the rub from Motor City. Okay, fine, whatever. They go up against Tyreek and Tyson, and there was a couple of really good spots. I will not lie.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it Tank who flew out? Oh, Hank did that one?
Hank went flying through the ropes onto the announce table. I didn't know he had that in him.
That was a crazy spot. Great Brown Hope, I agree with you. Yeah, Hank and Tank are just not my thing. I just not what I want.
Hey, he also said they got to call up Chase U already. Chase U's dead, brother.
Yeah,
there ain't no Chase U. Yeah, unless they're creating a new Chase U with Brogan and the other guy and Andre. But
that, you know what? That should stay a gimmick in NXT because it's a college NXT.
Yeah, just pass it over.
Yeah.
There'll be a new dean whenever Andre gets called up to the main roster if he ever does.
Yep, I think there's no reason to abandon a college gimmick from NXT, which is a college university learning location. So, I'm fine with that. The fans just want to do the U thing. They just let them do it. Just let the fans do the U.
That is a good comparison with it being developmental. It's sort of like a college. Like I always say, like NXT's AAA, Evolve's AA, and then the ID program single A. Like whichever way you want to break it down, the college thing, the gimmick, the shtick, it would make sense if it just stuck in NXT. I agree.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I see no reason for the show to have to leave that, to bring that up. It will not work on the main roster. It'll get swallowed up. So I used to think like every gimmick, I was like, you know what? Bring that gimmick up. It's ready. Bring it up. And then when I saw it hit the main roster and they're in a building of 15, 20,000 people.
Different.
Yep. And then you watch the gimmick get swallowed up and you're like, fuck. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't. You know what didn't work?
Two names off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross and Keith Lee. Didn't work when they got called. But that's a Vince problem. That was another.
That's a Vince problem because Keith Lee had his moment at Royal Rumble with Rock, and Karrion Kross is a big dude, and he had a moment, and they put him in a helmet, like a gladiator helmet, and it was
so stupid.
But I'm thinking more of like the Adam Rose gimmick. It worked in the small venue of Full Sail where people could almost felt like they were on top of each other running with him into the arena.
Right.
The No Way Jose gimmick. He came out. Everybody was just like, wow, blah, blah. And then like even down to, and it had to be made changes, but even Bray Wyatt, when he first came up with just him and the two dudes, when he was like that creepy, swamp preacher, Cape Fear guy, I was like, just put it on television. And then when you see it on television, you're like, it's small. It's not big enough yet. Like there needs something. So I think Chase U is one of those gimmicks that works because you have a small section of guys that are willing to give it to you in that arena. It just can't work, it just can't work anywhere. Like it'll get swallowed up. So I keep eyes on that. I do give that thought because I love to see like gimmicks. I'm like, oh, you have a handmade gimmick right there. Just put it right in there. It's not plug and play. It disappears as soon as if you get into a big venue and it's not a big enough gimmick, you lose it.
100%. Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. But Great Brown Hope said, no way Jose was the shit. Aries versus No Way Jose was a fun mini NXT feud.
On NXT, yes.
I forgot about that feud. You brought up a name, though, that really jogged my memory, and I have to admit this on air right now. since not many people are going to see it anyways. I was a Rosebud. I was always a Rosebud, even on the main roster. I brought to Survivor Series 2011, the night that the Shield debuted, and we had the triple threat main event of John Cena versus Ryback versus CM Punk. Yeah. On one side of the sign, I had Believe in the Shield. I didn't have that. No, that doesn't make sense because they debuted there. But I did bring that to another show. I had something with John Cena on one side, and on the other side it said, "Don't be a lemon, be a Rosebud." So I am a day one Rosebud.
I agree. Great Brown Hope said wrestling fans are never happy. It wasn't a
thank you. Thing.
No, but we agree. We agree they ruin everything. But it wasn't that. It was the gimmick itself got swallowed up by the arena. It's not that I didn't like it. I don't think you can connect when the gimmick is too small for what you're trying to do. Like, would Orange Cassidy work in a WWE arena? Probably not. I'm telling you, it is more of an indie AEW world where that kind of gimmick can work. If you throw him doing his kicks in front of kids and families who don't watch that, and he came out, no, I don't think so. That's why
they probably no sell his reactions.
Yeah, and that's why Penta works so well. He's got a big time gimmick that when he came out and they made it feel bigger.
Yeah,
that's why it worked. There's just too many gimmicks that if you put them out in an arena, it gets small. But anyway, we digress because right after the other gimmick, we get Stephanie Vaquer in a hospital on a gurney or stretcher or whatever, getting her stomach looked at, which was selling the injury from the earlier that they tried to put over the injury instead of the match. So
listen, you can never, and I'm a Fallon Henley guy. Fallon Henley should never be able to beat Stephanie Vaquer if she couldn't beat her tonight. Let's be real, because she went through it. She had a match. Her ribs were bothering her. She was even limping to the ring, and Fallon Henley still couldn't get it done.
Yep,
it's embarrassing.
Listen,
it's a tough scene.
The three ladies, though, in whatever they're called,
Fatal Influence. Put some respect on Toxic Attraction 2.0.
Right. I always get their names wrong. I'm like, what is it? Something else. And so first of all, they're beautiful, and you can't take your eyes off any of them. They are all not world champion. Mandy Rose made those two into like you took them seriously. Do I take them as seriously with Fallon Henley at the helm?
No,
I do not. So that's the issue with Fatal Opposite, whatever they're called.
Isn't that basically that is totally what they're trying to replicate is the Toxic Attraction buzz. Yeah. And unfortunately, Fallon Henley just doesn't have the clout or the resume that Mandy Rose did. In ring, Fallon Henley is probably 5 times better of a wrestler than Mandy Rose was.
No,
I never was a big Mandy Rose fan, to be honest. She got really good though at the end. Like Mandy Rose's NXT champion was great. Honestly, one of my favorite runs.
Yes, until they found her boob pictures, and then everything turned into shit.
And now she's making more money showing her boob pictures to the horny people.
Look, yes.
Maybe we should do that, and people will start tuning into our show. If we show our tits, guys, will you start watching? Yes or no?
Yes. If we have to do this show shirtless, will it matter?
And anybody can comment, guys. By the way, there's 69 nice, by the way, 69 people watching live right now. So feel free to share your thoughts. And if you want to come on and shoot the shit with us, leave a comment saying "let me in" or put your email on there, and we will make it happen.
Yeah, like do it and come on and be like Stan, and so
don't be like Stan. You don't have to be like Stan.
Or don't be like Stan. Don't make fun of me, but make fun of Kyle all you like. And
he hasn't used the ball joke yet, which seems like a layup.
That's not his thing, man.
Going for the layups,
right,
yeah.
Stan is a little more complex, so to speak.
He's the Steph Curry. He's going to shoot for the 3.
Right. So we come back from break and we get to the actually before we go to break, Javon Evans is introduced, and his awful theme song kicks in, which Def Rebel.
You don't like it?
Come on, man.
I like this one.
Every single Def Rebel song is "Here is my
Who won it? I want the world." Yeah, it's a vibe.
Your boy is bouncy. Stop it. Let's
that. Well, yeah. The intro's always got to have it, like Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
Like we know who they are. Well, actually, we probably don't if you play that generic ass music.
Well, maybe if they gave it for Tyreek and Tyson, I would have known better who they were. I have no idea who they are, but
they're Wes Lee's lackeys. That's all I know.
Yeah, and my daughter always says, is this that thing you told me? I go, what, a Def Rebel theme song? She's like, yeah, I don't like it. I'm like, then it is a Def Rebel theme song.
Well, if she doesn't like it, then I'm probably wrong because she's younger and more hip than I am. Yeah.
Yes, and she can be difficult because she listens to me. But we went to Lexus King, who I do feel, and the internet gives Brian Pillman Jr. a lot of trouble. He went through he said some stupid things in his time. But you know what? I'm stunned that I'm going to say this, but the Performance Center that doesn't make a lot of stars has really honed him into something that is very, very usable on any roster. He is the most irritating dude. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I had that same thought too. I'm like, I think Lexus King finally has it. I think he's finally comfortable in NXT and who he is now. Because, like he said, when he came to NXT from AEW, he's trying to shed that Pillman name. He doesn't want that attached to him, and I feel like he's kind of separated himself from being known as Brian Pillman Jr. because all of us diehards that pay attention to the independent wrestling scene knew him from the indies, knew him as a Varsity Blonde, but I don't know if the Heritage Cup is really doing anything for him. I like that he kind of just took away the rules because it's a good heel thing to do because obviously that match is unique, but him holding that, he doesn't need to hold it any longer. But with this match itself, the back and forth with him and Evans, the continuity between the two, I mean, those kicks that Javon Evans were delivering to King, he was selling his ass off in that match.
What happened, by the way, to Charlie Dempsey and his crew? Like that, what happened to the No Quarter Catch crew? I haven't seen them in like 3 weeks at least.
Ren's been backstage, but yeah, I wonder if like Tavion Heights or Miles Bourne got hurt or something because
Tavion Heights, I want more of him and I want more Charlie Dempsey. So
Charlie Dempsey's going to Bloodsport. Did you see that again?
Oh, he's doing that again. Good. He's good there. He comes out. His facial expressions are like his dad. He's just, he just always looks irritated, like he has to take a shit. So
he does have those mannerisms. Now that you pointed out, I didn't get to see much of Regal, but what I've seen,
yes, I keep
definitely
forgetting.
Portrays it well.
Yeah, you understand that I've seen him in WCW since like the early '90s. Like he was one of my favorites.
So here's the thing. I don't even know if I've told you this. I've said it on past shows that I've done, but older wrestling for me just doesn't do it. And it might be just because the former podcast that I was on was just a podcast that watched old wrestling.
Oh.
And so I'm not going to name that podcast because there was a bad falling out, but people that follow me know what podcast that was. And I think I just have this negative perception of older wrestling before the year 2000 to where it just doesn't connect with me, And that's not probably fair to older wrestling.
When did you think? What is older wrestling for you?
Before 2000.
Okay, I'm just all right. Before 2000.
I mean, I was 7 years old the year 2000,
I get it.
So yeah.
I was 21 and still loving every bit of that era.
Were you an ECW guy?
Oh my god, dude! I've said it before. I attended the ECW House of
Hardcore. That's right. Yep, you definitely were that.
We went to so many shows, I've told the story too many times, but I think I met New Jack with one of my best friends. I think I told you the story.
You did, yep.
And I don't know if I told the show, but I met New Jack on the street on Queens Boulevard, and we went over to him. My friend was a large Jamaican guy. He passed away 3 years ago. He was the best dude I ever knew, but he went right over to New Jack and was like, "Hey, we want you to take us into that into that convenience store. Can you buy us some 40s?" And New Jack looked at us. We were like 16. And he's like, "Yeah, all right, I'll buy you some 40s." And he buys us 2 40s. And my friend goes, "Can you buy us this Playboy?" And he was like, "You fucking kidding me?" And he's like, "All right." And he gives us this Playboy. We asked him to sign it. And to this day, I said, it's at my friend's mom's house. It says, "I wish this was a wrestling magazine, signed New Jack." And so ECW is in my absolute blood forever, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, those shows I can watch, but I'm talking to you more about WCW and like on the TBS Superstation, like those shows, like the ones that Tom Green does, if you follow him on Twitter, who does the WCW Deep Cuts.
Okay.
Like those shows, the rotating ring that was at the Disney set.
So I didn't even know that was a thing.
So they did a Saturday night TBS show, right? It was Saturday nights at like 7:00, and it was live. I mean, it was taped from the from Disney Studios in Orlando or Universal, one of those, and it was on a soundstage, and it looked like a big, rocket ship or whatever. Like there are these big metal doors, like a warehouse, and these guys would come out to smoke. You get these crazy matches. You get like Great Muta versus, like Cactus Jack, like in this ring, and the ring was on a circular stand, and it was ever so slowly rotating the entire time. And these guys
That's actually a cool concept. I think I would be into that.
It was fucking ridiculous. And it was on every Saturday night, and you got crazy matches. You got like Roadblock was on those, and they would debut like Ultimo Dragon wrestled at like 7:00 on a Saturday night. Like, imagine being, you're being like 8-9 years old, and it's 1988. Yeah. Like
I found it.
That's it. And they came out, and that's on the soundstage. They came out from that door.
Oh my God.
Sting and Ric Flair, and they would cut promos, and you'd be like, holy shit, this now that I look at it, I'm like, this is a real thing. When I was a kid, I was like, I can't wait for 7:00 because I just get to watch wrestling.
I couldn't believe these photos. I was like, oh, is my HD not on? I go, oh, I keep forgetting this was before my time.
It was before.
That looks cool as fuck, though. That looks like some TNA stuff right there.
My brother and I never missed it. We were like, oh my God, we're home at 7:00 on a Saturday.
One last time for the people there that haven't seen it yet. There you go.
So now we're doing past and future stars. So we're looking at the past stars. Look up, if you ever all get a chance, look up Tom Green, who does the WCW Deep Cuts. He does some really interesting stuff about like Alex Wright, and he talks about Destruction Crew and the Beverly Brothers, who used to be something else. And like, you'll get 60 seconds of these crazy spots, and he just covers everything, and you learn so much from it about how crazy WCW was. So
yeah, you'll have to send me his profile after this for sure.
Yeah, it's not that Tom Green, so it's good. He's been around for a long time in the area, and like the Twitter wrestling business. His son Noli and him go to a lot of shows together. So all right, so let's go backwards. We'll go to more of what you and I like talking about.
What is Paper? Sorry to cut you off. Paper Mike said Jake Milliman. Is that a reference to WCW?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Mike,
maybe.
What am I doing? What are we doing?
Mike, explain, please. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah. That one I didn't know.
No, I didn't either. So let's go from that to the end of the Javon Evans match. Did I have this correct? So he got cost the match by Oba. Who cost him the match here?
Yeah, Oba ended up coming out. He powerbombed Javon Evans on the apron, which then we saw Dark State. That's what they're called, right?
I have the Dark Universe.
The Dark Universe. Man, are we just going to get into the Dark State stuff again?
Wait. But before that,
okay.
You love it, is before Oba came out, you had Fraxium, who is not okay. Or they are okay.
They're okay. Fraxium's fine.
So Fraxium talking again, and I love those little jabs. Like Nathan Frazier was like, yeah, you did great against Gunther, but I wasn't invited. And then he's trying to, and you can't see his face, but Axiom, like he's doing something good there, because he's like, oh, it was supposed to be a surprise. You weren't invited, because my fan. And I just love that. And then he's like, but look over your head. Here comes Oba. And you just see that giant dude just lumbering into the arena.
Now you've seen more wrestling in your day than I have, but is this one of the greatest thrown together random tag teams in WWE history? It's up there with the Bar for me. Like the Bar, when they got thrown together after their series of 7, Sheamus and Cesaro, and they went on their tear, I thought that was really good.
Here's why the Bar was so good. It was 2 veterans who said, we are getting this over no matter what. And they decided to buy the matching gear and the kilts they came out with. And the fact that Cesaro, and, to a lesser extent Sheamus, because he's always been very, very thought of very highly in WWE. Yeah. But the fact that Cesaro was so willing just to do anything to get a character over, get a gimmick over, that's why the Bar works so well. Fraxium has 2 guys who are top level high flyer cruiserweights who they did get thrown together. You're right. But I think that there was more of a cohesiveness. The fact that the Bar was just 2 guys who were like, we're not doing anything. We need to figure something out. Was right. What I thought was so impressive that you bring up the Bar. That was what was so impressive about them.
The thing is, though, with Fraxium, man, if they weren't together, I don't know if Axiom works on its own. And I don't think Nathan Frazier was going to work on its own. So I'm glad they ended up putting them together, because for the most part, at least in their brief stint as singles wrestlers, it was not working in NXT. And obviously what they're doing now might have them called up to the main roster very soon.
And it would be okay. You could put those two against Motor City. You could put them against
DIY.
DIY. Yep. You can put them against what's it called? A-Town Down Under.
Viking Raiders. They got
that match would
options.
Be fucking, if you let the Viking Raiders.
Oh my God!
And if you think that Black Taurus or what's his name now?
Amortos.
You think he's a good base? Can you imagine Hansen? I don't know what he's called. Ivar, Eric, whichever one he is. Can you imagine him?
Yeah.
Imagine him basing for Nathan Frazier, who I've seen on the Indies, and they would just let him fly.
That's the literal definition of clash of styles right there.
Yep.
And Ivar and Eric can still do the flippy athletic shit too. We've seen what Ivar is capable of. So WWE, if you're watching this, which I know some of you might.
Sometimes you might be.
Viking Raiders, Fraxium, make it happen.
Make it fucking happen. WrestleMania.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, give it to us at WrestleMania. Give us the make it the opening match of night one and get the fans because the best part about night one is that it's still daytime when they start the show, and even though they're in the dome, the lights come in from the outside and you'll be able to see some of that sunset. That might be, and then those two dudes looking out because they're small in stature, but looking out over the sea of people would be a very cool visual for night one to start. So
will it happen? Probably not. Would it be cool? Absolutely.
No, we'll still get them on whatever Stand and Deliver, but not as
at 10 o'clock in the morning Vegas time. I did that when I went to LA, and it was a 10 o'clock start for Stand and Deliver. I'll tell you what, man, and it was a good show. That's where Indy Hartwell won the ladder match. I think Carmelo took the title off of Braun, or it might have been vice versa, but it was very hard for that audience to get up for that, and that's what I hate that Stand and Deliver is a morning show now because of the 2 nights thing. I think NXT need to find a night WrestleMania week, which I don't think they have, because you now have the Hall of Fame, right? That's going to be on one of the nights separate from SmackDown.
Right,
yeah.
SmackDown into the Hall of Fame.
And then 2 nights of Mania, Raw after WrestleMania. There's no spot unless you really want to stretch it, really want to do it, and do it on the Tuesday. And you make Stand and Deliver that Tuesday after the Monday Night Raw after Mania. But that's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know how you squeeze that in there. It's not possible. But I think morning wrestling is like day drinking. It can't be bad. It's awesome,
right,
dude? I've told you when they did the original collective, the collective in 2019 in New Jersey, when WWE did the last time they did one night of WrestleMania.
Right.
They did the collective. I remember waking up in the morning, going to WrestleCon at 10 a.m. and then walking from Manhattan back to, I lived in Hoboken, I took a train back to Jersey City and walked over to watch a Shakara show at 12:30. That was the best. That was the best. And that was off of the heels of the AIW show at 11:30 at night the night before. And that was the fucking best. So I have to say, if I was in Vegas for that, I would be wide awake. First of all, I'd stay up the night before. I'd be at the Spearmint Rhino all night long. And then I would walk right over to the arena to see Stand and Deliver. And I would be so happy to know that there is so much wrestling.
That's the beauty of those weekends, man. I tell people all the time, if you get outside of your WWE bubble, AEW bubble, and just venture into all professional wrestling, because you legitimately can make a WrestleMania weekend without attending a WWE show. And now that they're starting to do 2 nights for SummerSlam, 2 nights for the Royal Rumble is rumored. These big shows are going to be weekend things. Go do everything. If you enjoy it, go watch it, because you could literally, from, like you were saying, sun up to sun down, fill your day full of professional wrestling.
I am worried about the Royal Rumble, I will tell you that, because the magic of the Royal Rumble is everyone gets together. Great Brown Hope. You know what I'm talking about. Best strip club ever.
I've never been to a strip club in my life. There's another fun fact for you.
Kyle, God damn it. When you guys come in.
I have no interest, brother. No interest. It just seems like a waste of money. It is free for me to not see boobs and not get laid in my own place. So
I am just going to tell you guys one thing. It is a business transaction, and business is always good. So that's what I say about that. I will say to you, though, the Royal Rumble is going to upset me because we have done, and I think we all have, these giant parties for the Royal Rumble for both.
Sure.
I don't know if the same level of interest. If you told me night 1 was the women and night 2 was the men, I don't think I would even come. I probably would not turn on night 1 for the women until the women's Royal Rumble and not really care, what happens. Like I'm just,
Yep.
I'm very unnerved about 2 nights for the Royal Rumble. There's no reason to. There's zero reason to.
That is a problem with the Royal Rumble because, it's so close to WrestleMania 2, and that's supposed to be the launching pad for WrestleMania, that every other match on that card would have to have so much steam behind it and interest, and people want to stay and watch that. And I don't think each Rumble is enough for me to pay a ticket to go watch. Like,
right.
you can't get me to go to 2 nights just to sell me on each Royal Rumble, because I just did that for one night, last year in Indianapolis, and I thought it was a perfectly structured show. There's no problem with doing Rumble, couple matches, Rumble.
Right.
It works.
It's perfect. It works, and I think the more you tinker with it, they're going to end up getting into a weird place with the fans, because there's some things that you don't want to take away, like the culture of what the Royal Rumble is. It's like when the NFL draft went to 3 days or 4 days, and they ruined that Friday where you everyone got together and we all watched the first 4 rounds and we're like, that's great. And then you could go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway,
now it's going to be in Green Bay, the greatest city of all time.
And I'm fine with that. I don't mind them leaving the area. I just wish it wasn't 7 days long. You know what I mean? I don't need a whole day for round 6.
No, I don't need to know about this Norfolk State kick returner.
Right. There's way too much data. Anyway, back to this, because we do have a women's number 1 contenders match for the TNA tag team number 1, and that is Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley against Metaphor. Except, what was Ava Rain saying the whole time? She kept calling Lash Legends lashes.
I'm not sure. I must have missed that. Yeah.
Yeah, she kept calling her. I think she kept calling her lashes. But I was very glad to see all 4 of these women in a match, because I did wonder what the hell happened to Gigi Dolan, and I'm glad that they're getting some play on TNA. Who knows what's going on at TNA? They just let go of 5 office workers and
Gail Kim.
Yeah.
How do you let go of Gail Kim? And I don't know who tweeted it. I'm sure a bunch of people did, but there needs to be more female presence in professional wrestling at the head of these companies. There's not much. And Gail Kim is one of the most well-respected humans that you hear about behind the scenes, especially for TNA and all that she's given to that company. That surprised me.
Yeah, it was upsetting because she honestly has been in management longer than I think she was actually in ring.
Maybe. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. So we go back to the TNA, the number 1 contenders, and I have to say, good match. And I missed Gigi Dolan. I am a big fan, and my pal Mike Trombetta and we are big fans of Gigi Dolan. And
where was Shotzi at? That's my question. Because isn't Shotzi a part of this group with Tatum and Gigi?
Yeah. Yep.
I guess not last night.
I hope
or
not.
Tonight.
You every time somebody's missing, you always go, how do you run to the dirt sheets, but you realize I shouldn't be, that.
Don't be that Marky.
Yeah. So I like the match very much. I think Lash Legend, I think we talked about it in week 1 of here. I think Lash Legend has come a very long way. And yes, she's a little clunky, but she's actually very entertaining in the ring. And Jada, what's her name?
Jakar Jackson.
Jakar Jackson is probably the star as far as talent goes.
Yeah.
So good on her, and good match. And I was surprised how it ended as quickly with Tatum. But I am very glad that those 2 are going over to TNA to get a little shot, because I think Gigi Dolan has been kind of pulled along, stopped and started a bunch in the last 2 or 3 years since Mandy's been gone. So good. Let her get a shot at that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gigi they haven't found anything for her ever since Toxic Attraction broke up. So at least this is giving her something. But it's interesting. The Metaphor girls, I feel like we haven't seen wrestle that much. I wasn't really expecting them to lose here, because it seemed like there was a lot of steam behind them. But I think we even talked about it last week. The tag team division in NXT is actually pretty decent, at least for the women's side of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's very unfortunate that they don't have those titles there anymore, because if any division needs it, I think the NXT division definitely could use some. But man, they're utilizing those for some good stories on the main roster at least now.
All I want is more. All I want is more like more cohesiveness as far as tag teams go. I'm a very big tag team wrestling fan in general. It doesn't matter if it's men or women. I like matching gear. I like tag team moves. So the more you put into it, the better I think it is.
Agreed.
I'm not a trios guy. I could give
Me
two
neither.
shits about trios,
No.
but to see some tag teams and good tag team wrestling when the tag teams mean something is a lot of fun. So good on all four of these girls for doing stuff in there. And
to be fair, AEW I don't think knows or likes trios either because those champions have not been booked well.
Those belts, oh boy, I understood in the beginning what he wanted to do, and they had like some idea, and then they just never let it.
They never capitalized on it.
They got it to like here, and they needed to get it to like let it stretch out to like here, and they
had so many good factions. You literally had the elite.
Yeah,
like the elite could have just ran that trios. Right, that's a topic for another show.
Yeah. So after that, we go to our semi-main. So it's all Ego, Ethan Page, and Andre Chase, and they're gonna.
I did forget Mike. Yes, did you forget that ROH has trios titles?
I forgot ROH was still a thing.
Existed. Yeah, because there's a paywall in front of it.
ROH sucks.
Wow,
so good. It was so good.
I missed the boat on
life.
It. Yeah,
it was so good. It was so good. All right, so Ego and Chase, good match. Ricky Saints at the table. Distractions. Blah blah blah. Everybody's arguing, but Ego and Andre Chase do put on. Andre Chase is a hell of a wrestler. I know that
he is.
You're not a huge indie guy when it came to like a guy like him, but he was around him and his brother a long time, and so Andre Chase can wrestle anywhere, and I'm glad that they give him some pushes. But you're going to need to give me some more with Andre Chase than just what's it called, sad Baron Corbin type of look. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like we've been doing that shtick now for about 3 months. It's time to take this story to the next level. And I think that's why the Brogan Finley's been involved and whatnot. So they're probably going to capitalize on that. But yeah, like you said, Andre Chase can work his ass off. Ethan Page, I just don't know what there is left for him in NXT, to be honest with you.
It's him and Ricky Saints at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah,
and that's what we wanted from the beginning. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted from the beginning. Those two dudes going at it. Show the rest of the roster how two TV main event talents are going to be.
Well, where does that leave Spears? Because it seems like Spears and Saints is definitely going to be happening
Spears
too.
And Saints is next
threat?
week. Is next
week.
It
is advertised for next week. Okay.
So I don't know if you're going to. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to take the belt off. I think you might get. Here's my problem. We talked about it last week. That's what happened with Julia. First match in the ring, lose. I can't see the first title match. You give it to Ricky Saints, and then he's going to lose. Like that just sucks. Like give it to him, and then let him and Ethan Page feud. Give him like 3 or 4 different big matches to like let that feud simmer. Give me an old school Rock Austin. Give me an old school Triple H. Shawn Michaels. Let it simmer. Do the first match here. Do the second match at Stand and Deliver. Do the third match at SummerSlam. But let it play out and give one of them that North American title and let the two of them's only focus be on the both of each other. And that's it. Let them cut promos on each other. Let them wrestle. But even though they're wrestling, they still have their eyes on each other and give them 2 or 3 really big matches. That's what I would like.
Why not? I don't see an issue in that for sure. But if I don't want to compare these guys always to AEW, but it's the first thing that comes to my head. It's similar to when AEW brings in new talent. It seems like they rush them right into a title match or the dream match, like Ricochet and Will Ospreay. They just went right to it. Megan Bayne versus everybody that's physically imposing in AEW. Chris Statler to be example. But yeah, Ricky Saints needs something to dive into, so I guess this is something, but like you said, if it's his first match for a title, man, you would think he's got to win, but
and you're going to do it next week on regular television, like 3 weeks out of WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver. That kind of bums me out. So
it does. So I say don't do it. I have a retain for Spears because of the culling. Yeah, the culling were interfered, no DQ. Maybe you set up a triple threat with Ethan Page. I don't know.
Yep, I wouldn't be upset with that. So we go from there to the main event. And that is our final portion of the evening. It is Fallon Henley and Stephanie Vaquer. I always say it in 8 different ways. But this was a good match. Unfortunately, it was for the North American title. And unfortunately, there was a million other things that kind of overshadowed I like how Shawn Michaels books the women's division until the person chasing gets the title. And I think WWE has had this problem chronically for 20 years, is that when the chase is over, they don't know what to do with the person who's won the title. So
I mean, that's tough for anybody in general, not just WWE. I feel like that's just a tough task to get fans invested in that now, hey, the one thing that we wanted to see happen. Now what?
Well, remember, Sammy won the IC title from Gunther, and then we had nothing, right? And then Braun has the title now, and you have Penta and all those guys. Here, you have Stephanie come on, win the double titles, and I am not sure if this is the direction that I need, because I like, now you bring in another contender who's chasing, and then the victory doesn't make sense so close to Stand and Deliver, as far as what if Jordynne Grace is going to come after her, and then you have Jada Parker getting involved again, and I think Jada Parker lost some of her steam by losing that match. So I am not sure I like how that's booked. The talent is there. I love all the talent that's involved. I'm not sure what I would, because people would be like, well, what do you want? I'm not sure. I don't know how you.
Well, that's the Julia injury of it all. That's why this feels weird. It's not, clicking with a lot of people, but like you said, though, at least the talent is talented. Like, they will figure it out. They will make it work. It's just like, does Jordynne go after both titles? Does Jordynne just go after the NXT title? Does Jada go after just the North American title? I don't know, because like we saw, there's also a bunch of girls that want to throw their name into that ring. They want to go after that North American title.
Well, look at so in AIW, Josh Bishop had both titles for like a year and a half. And the way he dropped it was he came out before their gauntlet for the gold, their big Royal Rumble, and said, whoever wins this is the winner, of this title, basically, and threw it down and was like, that's that, because I shouldn't be carrying both. Unfortunately, you run into that too often if you're going to go with a intercontinental. Like, what happened when Ultimate Warrior won both belts? They didn't have like somebody take one belt off of him. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know how you do that where you have two separate feuds brewing at the same time with one. It just doesn't sell right. It doesn't, it doesn't.
No.
So
and it's hard for fans to follow too.
Yeah.
If you got all that, going on, but they're in a tough spot. Like we said, it's kind of
but it's not for lack of different talent. So then if you're going to do that, come up with something where you say, okay, if like that, when she beat Julia, if Stephanie wins the belt, her North American title goes somewhere else, right? Or we do like another one, but not a tournament. We go do like two people are going to get, there's something where two people are going to win this, go against each other. How they do
or
it.
A gauntlet match or something.
Right? How you get there?
WWE loves gauntlet matches.
Yeah, how you get there is not my problem. Just
get there, that's
right?
true. Figure it out from there.
Right, just get there. But
we don't get paid to do that.
Right. We don't get paid at all, but
no, we don't. Like I said, we lose money every month, baby.
Right. From my understanding from the balance sheet of this show, we're
in the negative, so we might have to cut this show after 3 episodes, because if that was the case, every show would get cut.
That's right. But I think you got to give me something else there. You got to give me something to look at for the world title, as far as the men's world title goes.
We don't even have an official match for Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
And we're 3 weeks away. Nothing. That's similar to the main roster right now, which I think that is intentional on the main roster. I think Triple H wants to keep people invested by not making the matches official, just to see you tune in and see how this develops. But some matches have to be on the marquee. That's why I want to go to this show. Because why would I want to go to Stand and Deliver right now if I wasn't watching weekly? Right. There needs to be an announcement for like a TNA, like Hardy's or something. Get them on the card. Like you need a big name. Tag team. Yep. You need tag teams. You need a big name. You're not going to sell tickets with Oba, and you got to give me who Oba's going to wrestle. If it's going to be Trick and Javon, I think. So you're going to give me a triple threat there. You're going to give me a triple threat for what? For the women's title. You're going to give me a triple threat for Punk, the North American title. Yeah. And you're going to give me a triple threat for Punk and Reigns and Rollins, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather get a ladder match in there somewhere, maybe for the women's North American title. But yeah, there is a lot of. But I'm one of those people that doesn't mind multi-person matches. No, I don't either. But I like variety on the card. Like, yes, so you got to give me something. And a lot of promoters that
I talk to indie guys who talk about pacing and things like that. You got to give me something that paces outright. Otherwise,
Well, hear me out. Last thing I'll leave you with.
Mm-hmm.
What if it's just Javon Evans versus Obafemi because Trick Williams is the one that's leading Dark State?
That sounds right. I actually thought I was actually going to bring that up to you. Yes.
Notice how right when he hit that ring tonight, Dark State they retreated. They moved back.
And then they asked him what he thought of it, and he's like, "Not my business." So
sketchy. Keep your eyes on Trick Williams, y'all. He might be leading them.
And we're also going to get Stacks and Tony D, I think.
I just don't care about that whatsoever. Beat his ass, Stacks. Beat his ass. You got Ariana Grace on your side. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Well, anyway, now that we are coming to a close, you want to do our plugs and
let's get the shilling out of the way, guys. If you want to support the network as a whole, because of course Night Shift is brought to you by the Main Event Wrestling Network. We got Main Event Wrestling merch available at the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast.com. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more main event content, because it's not just NXT Night Shift. We got the Indie Wrestling Guide, Wrestling Junkies Podcast, the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast, Tim Vicious, The Great Brown Hope. We got blogs for days. We got memes. You name it. At mainevent_net is where you're going to check out all that good stuff going down. If you want to keep up with our show, at NXT Night Shift on X, we'll give you updates and whatnot. And hell, we even live tweet during NXT from time to time. So Make sure you give us a follow. Tell a friend. And guys, don't be afraid to call in. That's what this show's all about. It's late night vibes. Let's have some fun. Be like Stan, or don't. Make fun of Jay Gold.
You can do it. I'm fine. I can take it. I'm very thick-skinned. And you can find me, by the way, on the Indie Wrestling Guide every Thursday. This week is part 2 of our Wilbur Whitlock interview. He is just great. He's a Midwest independent legend, and he had some really fun stories this time around as well, talking about X-Pac and a few others. And also, the IW Guide trading cards have come out.
Those are cool.
Our Wave 1, and they are actually, and I shit you not, I know this sounds very shilly, but they are selling out. We've had card collectors come to Charlie Butters and buy up packs and packs, and I am still waiting if this same card collector would buy a series with me in it. I'm hoping that I get a card. That's all. If Butters watches right now, if he's on, I know he watches later, I would like a card with me on it.
I would buy that pack, for the record. Right. I gotta support my co-host. But listen, guys, how many other wrestling podcasts have their own title? These guys have their own championship, a legit defended championship in independent wrestling. Give them a follow.
Match. Yes, it is recognized by Cage Match.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's dope.
Mikey Montgomery is currently the champion, and nobody hustles harder on the indies in the Midwest than Charlie Butters to try to get Mikey some, get that title in other places. We're going to be on the Enjoy Show, Taco Mania. There's going to be he just wrestled Cheeseburger for all those ROH fans. So check it out. Check out our show on Thursdays. And as always, it's great to see everybody. And we appreciate everybody who's trying to help us make this show, get off the ground. And I think at this time, Kyle, our shift is over. So we will punch out and say goodnight.
Yeah, I think it's time for us to hit the hay. But, I got to get one last thing in. Mm-hmm. My show does have a championship, but it's not recognized by Cage Match. It has an MVM, the most valuable mark. So if you want to get your hands on that MVM, you have to be live in our chats every Thursday. This Thursday, we will be live at 6 p.m. We're going to be joined by Matt from That's Freaking Wrestling. We're going to talk about the WWE this week and the current landscape of AEW, which I know my special guest, Matt, is going to have a lot of things to say. You don't want to miss it at Pod on the Mark. But for Jay Gold and myself here, the night shift is indeed over. It is time to punch out. Also, don't forget to show some love to our friends over at Gorilla Press Apparel. They do some awesome stuff, just like us here at NXT Night Shift. And we will see you next week for episode 4. See ya.
See ya.